you're thinking of going out on your own as a freelance web developer, but you're not sure how and where to get started with finding clients. Well, in today's video, I'll basically run through exactly how I got started as a freelance web developer, and hopefully you can take some of the lessons that I've learned. The year is 2017. I'm working as a sales rep. I'm not happy. I took up coding as a hobby on the side. Then I learned some marketing. And then within 6 months, voila, I'm doing it full time, I'm coding. But how did I get there? That's the big thing, how? Number one, I think that freelance web developers who understand how to make connections and how to have conversations with people and also how to sell, they're gonna have a way better time out in the marketplace. Currently right now, it's very saturated with lots of developers, lots of techies. If you're in the United States, you gotta compete with foreign contractors that are charging a fraction, a fraction of what you need to make to live. And it's really difficult to break through. But if you have personable skills and soft skills, I think that is the number one thing that's gonna really drive your success as a freelance web developer. You have to really be independent. You have to almost you gotta run your own business. You need to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date, it's tight, has a nice profile pic on it, has your experience, has a way for clients to easily find your portfolio of work that you've done or your resume, awards, certifications. You got to build all these things out on your LinkedIn. If you have people that you've worked with in the past, maybe on other teams or it was a past job, have them write recommendations for you on LinkedIn. Having a solid LinkedIn profile is definitely number two to being a phenomenal freelance developer and increasing your success. So personable skills, having a solid LinkedIn profile, moving into another way to really generate leads is, everybody thinks that they gotta get on Upwork, they gotta get on Fiverr. I say stay away from those platforms because you are competing on price all the time up there. What you need to do is you need to find either higher end recruitment agencies like Tech Systems or TopTail, just to name two off the top of my head, or you need to embed yourself in the local community that you live at right now and find out who the startup accelerator organizers are, who the nonprofits that are helping small businesses are. Get to know those people, learn the community, be a part, be known as a developer in the community, and find those people that are close to you that you can help partner with and build some camaraderie around. So number three, you got to get out of your office, you got to get out of your house, you got to go meet with people in person and start to establish your brand essentially, but in person. And then number four, just be ready for the ups and downs, because working for yourself, you're not going to have a steady paycheck. You might land a really nice big web app project, and it might be a $10,000 payday, and you might get half of that up front and then half when you're done, and all's great. But then after you're working on that web app for 2 months, if you're not doing the routine tasks that you need to do, like going on LinkedIn and connecting with people, going downtown to your local meetups while still delivering these projects, when you come out of the tail end of that big project, you're gonna be in a famine mode now, and then you're gonna be scattering. Always keep your marketing and sales initiatives and your local connections and network connections online flowing at all costs. Even when times are good and you have lots of projects and sales, that should be your indicator to go ahead and start amplifying your own marketing and to start to boost your own network, because you do not want to fall into the feast and famine life cycle. It's really hard. And you probably are going to fall into the feast and famine life cycle. Everybody does when they start out their own business or you start freelancing, but it's pushing through the feast and famine life cycle and not giving up and going back and getting a full-time job, because that's the definite way that your freelance gig, if it's not just going to be a side hustle, if you want to actually make it a lifestyle, that's how you're gonna kill the freelance opportunities or the work for yourself opportunities, is by just quitting and going back when you start hitting some famines. I hate to end on a negative note, but I'm gonna say this: it's really hard to do consistent freelance web development as a full-time gig. That's actually why I decided to start building YoDev, so that I could start taking on more projects and collaborating with other developers and tech enthusiasts, because really your capacity as a freelance web developer is probably 1 or 2 projects. If you're taking on more than 1 or 2 projects, then the projects are probably not going to be really worth it for you to be able to afford a living. So what I would say is, if it's not going to be a side hustle and it's going to be a permanent thing, you need to follow those steps that I just told you. So let's recap. You want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile and any other online profiles that you want to highlight yourself as a professional is fully optimized, up to date, and that you're using those platforms. You want to make sure that you are embedding yourself in your local community and you're connecting and you're being seen by the players in your local ecosystem of entrepreneurs, startups, etc., that can help fuel your growth and continue to, build your local brand. And finally, in those months of famine, and definitely in those months of feasts, make sure you're always doing marketing, sales, and networking initiatives to make sure that you constantly have leads to reach out to and follow up on, because you will hit the feast and famine life cycle, and you don't want to get into a situation where you're coming off of a big project and then you don't know where your next projects are coming from. You start to scramble. You want to make, if you have those marketing initiatives in place and you know who your partners are that you need to reach out to, and you know XYZ, it makes it a lot easier to get through those down months. If you ever want to connect on LinkedIn or talk about freelance web development, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and let's talk.